A cry outside his door. It was a cold, windy night on the edge of the human colony planet called Terran 4. The sky was dark, and the rain hit the roof like falling stones. Most people in the small farming town were asleep, but one man was still awake. Grant Miller, a quiet human farmer who lived alone at the edge of the forest. He was sitting near the fire reading an old book when he heard it. A sound. A cry. It was not a normal sound. It was soft and strange. It didn't sound like a human baby. It was higher, thinner, almost musical. Grant sat up straight. Another cry came. This time, louder. Grant put on his coat and opened the door. The wind blew hard. The cold air hit his face, but he stepped outside. He looked around. Nothing but the empty path, the trees shaking in the wind, and darkness. Then he saw it. At the bottom of his doorstep. Something was moving. A small bundle. Wrapped in old cloth. Grant bent down. His hands shook a little. He pulled the cloth back, and he saw a baby, but not a human one. Its skin was a light purple blue. Its eyes were large and glowing faintly. Tiny spots shimmered on its forehead. The baby looked up at him and cried again. Weakly. Grant's heart raced. He looked around, thinking it was a trap. "Hello?" he shouted. "Is anyone there?" No answer. He picked up the baby gently. It was cold and wet. Shivering. Then just for a second he saw something move in the trees. A shape. A tall figure with glowing eyes. Standing in the shadows. Then it turned and vanished into the woods. Grant didn't know what to do. He was just a farmer. Not a doctor, not a fighter. He had no family, no wife, no kids, but this baby. It was helpless. He took one last look at the trees, then closed the door. Inside, he wrapped the baby in warm towels and brought it near the fire. It stopped crying. Its eyes followed the flames, glowing softly. Grant sat on the floor, watching. "Where did you come from?" he whispered. "Why would someone leave you here?" He looked out the window. The forest was dark, silent. Then something hit him. The cloth the baby was wrapped in. It had strange writing on it. Not human language. Alien script. But Grant had seen it before during the war years ago. It belonged to the Valari species, a peaceful alien race, once nearly wiped out by slavers. Could this baby be Valari? And if so, was the person in the trees the mother? Grant's mind raced with questions, but he had no answers. He only knew one thing. This baby needed help. He searched his storage room for anything that might work. Soft cloths, old milk bottles, anything. But human milk wouldn't work for alien biology. He remembered a small alien shop in the next town that sold nutrient packs. He would go tomorrow. For now, he held the baby close. It looked at him with wide eyes. Not scared, just tired. Then it did something unexpected. It reached out its tiny hand and touched his chin. Grant froze. He had fought in 100 battles. He had seen cities burn. But nothing felt like this one simple touch. The baby trusted him. He sighed and leaned back against the wall. "I don't know who you are," he whispered, "but I guess you're staying the night." Outside, the storm grew worse. Inside, the fire glowed warmly, and in that small, quiet home, a human and an alien child lay together, while someone watched them from the dark woods, eyes glowing, heart heavy, and hope fading. She had left her baby to survive. But she didn't know. The human would open the door. The next morning, the rain had stopped, but the ground was still wet and cold. Grant woke up early, checking the small alien baby sleeping in a basket near the fire. The baby's breathing was soft and its strange glowing eyes slowly opened. "Still alive, huh?" Grant whispered with a small smile. "Good." He stood up and stretched. He hadn't slept well. Too many thoughts were in his head. Why would someone abandon a baby? Who left it there? And who was that shadow in the trees? He made a quick breakfast but didn't eat much. He wrapped the baby in dry cloth again and placed it gently in an old crate padded with blankets. Then, with his coat on and a small scanner in his pocket, Grant stepped outside. The air was cold. The clouds above were thick and low. He didn't walk far, only a few meters from his cabin near the edge of the woods. He saw something, a shape, in the grass, a figure curled up like a dying animal. Grant hurried closer. It was her. The shadow he saw last night, an alien woman, thin, so thin her bones looked like they would snap. Her skin was pale and bruised. Her face was half covered by her long silver hair. Her clothes were torn and wet, barely covering her body. Her hands were scraped. Her breathing was shallow. Grant knelt beside her. Her lips moved. Soft sounds came from her mouth. It wasn't English, but then, weakly, she spoke. "My child." "Where?" Grant's eyes widened. "She's safe," he said quickly. "Inside. By the fire." The woman tried to get up, but she collapsed. She had no strength. Her eyes met his, large, silver like stars, and full of pain. Grant knew alien refugees lived in hiding after the war. Some were hunted, some were hated. Maybe she had no home left. No family. He looked around. There were no tracks, no ship, nothing. Only her and the baby. He couldn't leave her here. With effort, he lifted her into his arms. She was light. Too light. As he carried her toward the cabin, her cold hand touched his chest. "Please," she whispered. "Don't let her be alone." Grant said nothing, but inside something heavy moved in his heart. Back in the cabin, he laid her down on a bed near the fire. The baby, sensing her nearby, made a soft chirping noise. The mother weakly turned her head and reached out. The baby grabbed her finger. Both were together again. Grant stepped back and stared. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days, maybe longer. He poured water into a cup and gently touched her lips. She drank slowly. He tried offering soft bread. She turned, her head away. "I need to find something you can eat," he said to himself. She looked up at him again. Her voice was barely a whisper, but she tried. "Thank you." Grant blinked. "You can speak English?" She nodded slowly. "A little. Learned. During war." "What's your name?" he asked. She looked at her baby, then back at him. "Zarina." Grant nodded. "I'm Grant." Zarina closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. "She needs real food," Grant muttered. "Not just water." Then he remembered. There was an old trader who dealt with alien species. His shop was a few hours away near the spaceport, but leaving them alone, that was risky. He looked at Zarina and the child. They were alone. Hunted, hungry, and afraid. But now, they were in his house. Grant stood up, grabbed his coat again, and loaded his rifle. He wasn't a soldier anymore. But maybe, just maybe, it was time to become a protector again. Outside, the clouds were shifting, and far above in the sky, a silent ship passed overhead, watching. Zarina lay weakly on the old bed near the fire, her eyes half open but alert. She didn't move much. Her arm rested around her baby, who now slept peacefully, warmed by the soft blankets Grant had wrapped around her. Grant placed a tray beside the bed. On it was warm soup, bread, and some fruits. "You need to eat something," he said gently. "You'll get stronger." Zarina looked at the food, but her expression didn't change. She sniffed it once, then shook her head slowly. "No," she whispered. "Human food hurts." Grant frowned. "What do you mean, hurts?" She put a hand on her belly. "Stomach, wrong inside. Your food makes pain." Grant sat down on a chair nearby. This was going to be harder than he thought. He thought back. He had fought beside alien allies during the War of Unification. Some species couldn't eat earth food at all. Zerina must be one of them. But you'll starve like this, he said. Zerina gave a tired smile. Already starving. Grant stood. He walked to the window and stared out at the gray sky. He hated feeling helpless. He had tools, weapons, survival kits, but nothing for an alien mother and her child. Then he remembered something. Years ago, he had helped an injured alien scout. The scout left behind a small nutrient pack, stored in the back room. Grant rushed to the old metal box behind his workshop. Dust flew as he pried it open. There it was, Valari nutrient gel, sealed. He ran back inside and knelt by Zerina. He opened the packet and held it near her lips. She looked at him, unsure. Then slowly, she drank. Her eyes widened. She swallowed, more. After a minute, color returned to her cheeks. She leaned back, breathing easier. Grant sighed in relief. Looks like it still works. She nodded slowly. You saved me. Then the baby stirred and let out a soft chirp. Zerina picked her up, cradling the child to her chest. She is my star, she whispered. I left her because I was too weak to protect her. Grant knelt beside them. But you came back. Zerina looked into his eyes. Because I hoped a human heart was still kind. Grant didn't know what to say. Just then, his motion sensor beeped, a warning. Someone or something was outside the house. Grant stood and looked at the screen. A figure was walking slowly down the path toward his cabin. He picked up his rifle. Zerina froze. They followed me. Grant didn't answer. He turned off the lights, pulled back the curtain, and saw a thin old man wearing a heavy coat and goggles. It was Milo, the alien trader who lived on the edge of town. Grant opened the door just a little. What do you want, Milo? Milo smiled. Rumor reached me you were hiding a Valari. That true? Grant's face stayed still. What if I am? Milo chuckled. Then you're either stupid or brave. Grant narrowed his eyes. Maybe both. Milo held up a small bag. Valari milk pods. Rare. Not cheap. But I owed you once. Grant took the bag without a word. Be careful, Milo warned. Someone else will come looking, not everyone's kind. And with that, the trader walked off into the fog. Grant closed the door. He handed the pods to Zerina, who looked shocked. You paid for us? Grant shook his head. No. You don't owe me. But your child needs this. She held the pods, tears in her eyes. Why do you help? Grant looked at the baby, then at her. Because no one helped my wife and son, he said. I couldn't save them, but maybe I can save you. Zerina reached out and gently touched his hand. You already have. But neither of them noticed. Far above, in the trees beyond the cabin, a red eye flashed. A hunter drone had found them. And now, their time was running out. Night fell, again on the quiet colony. Grant stood by the window holding his rifle tight. He hadn't slept, not after what he saw in the trees. That red flash, it wasn't lightning. It wasn't natural. It was a drone. And if there was a drone, someone had sent it. Inside, Zerina rocked her baby gently. The infant cooed in her arms, finally fed and warm after hours of hunger. She looked at Grant, her face calm, but eyes full of fear. Someone found us, he said without turning. Zerina nodded. They always find me. Who are they? He asked. She hesitated. Then she spoke. Not hunters, not slavers. Worse, they wear metal faces, no name, no voice. Just capture and deliver. Grant felt cold. You mean bounty collectors? Yes, Zerina said. Silent ones. Paid in credits or blood. Suddenly the sky outside lit up with a flash of blue light. The wind kicked up dirt as a sleek black ship hovered above the forest, slow and quiet like a shadow. Then a tall, Figure dropped from the ship, no parachute, no sound. Just a soft thud on the ground. It stood up, covered in armor, long limbs, glowing chest core. A cold silver mask with no mouth. Serena saw it through the window and gasped. "It's him." "Who?" Grant asked. "The Watcher." Grant had heard that name during the war. A collector who never spoke, never failed. If he came for someone, they disappeared. "Why is he after you?" Grant asked, his voice low. Serena held her baby closer. "Because I escaped with something they want." Grant glanced at her stomach. "The baby?" She nodded. "My child carries 2 bloodlines. Valari, and something more." Grant didn't ask further. The baby's soft eyes glowed faintly as if listening. Then a loud knock hit the door. Boom. Boom. 3 knocks. Grant raised his rifle and looked through the peephole. The Watcher stood there, silent, unmoving. A small device hovered beside him, scanning the house. Suddenly, a voice came from the drone. Not from the collector. It was cold, robotic. "Deliver the Valari fugitive, or be listed as a traitor to galactic law." Grant didn't speak. The voice continued. "You have 60 seconds. Serena stood behind him. "Let me go," she whispered. "If he takes me, you live." Grant turned and looked at her. "I didn't save you just to give you up." "But he won't stop," she said. "He'll burn this house down. He'll take the baby, too." Grant looked at the child, sleeping, safe, innocent. Then he made a choice. He flipped a switch near the fireplace. A hidden door opened beneath the rug. "Go," he told Serena. "Basement tunnel. It leads to the woods. Run." "What about you?" she asked, tears in her eyes. "I'll hold him off." Serena hesitated, then kissed the baby's forehead, whispered a word in her alien language, and disappeared into the dark tunnel. The baby in her arms blinked once, then vanished into the shadows with her. Grant stood alone. The countdown reached 0. The door exploded. Flames flew. The Watcher stepped in. Grant fired 2 quick shots. Sparks flew as the bullets hit armor. The Watcher raised his hand. A pulse wave knocked Grant into the wall. His vision blurred, his ears rang, but he got up and smiled. "You're too late," he said. The Watcher scanned the room, found nothing. He turned toward Grant. "Where is the child?" Grant wiped blood from his lip. "Which one?" A second pulse wave fired, but this time Grant ducked. He grabbed a hidden EMP grenade from his belt and slammed it into the floor. The house lit up blue. The Watcher froze, twitching, but only for a second. Grant ran. He dove into the tunnel and pulled the lever behind him. The trapdoor sealed shut, just as fire swallowed the house above. Deep in the forest, under starlight, Serena held her baby close. As she waited, then she saw movement. Grant, bloody, coughing, but alive. She rushed to him. "You made it," he nodded. "We don't have long." Far above, the Watcher's ship rose again, circling silently. They were not safe, but they were together. The flames from Grant's house lit the sky behind him. He didn't look back. He carried the last of his supplies in a small pack and walked through the forest slowly, his arm around Serena to help her keep moving. Her baby was quiet, resting, in a cloth sling on her chest. They were cold, dirty, tired, and hunted. The only safe place now was an old mining shelter, hidden deep inside the cliffs. Grant had built it long ago during the war, for emergencies. No one knew it was there. By nightfall, they reached it. The entrance was covered in vines and rocks. Grant pulled them aside and tapped a code on the panel. The door opened with a soft hiss. Serena stepped inside and gasped. It was small but warm. A heater hummed. Old supplies lined the shelves. A bed, a water filter, even an emergency comms unit, though offline, safe. For now. She turned to him. "You didn't have to do all this. Grant dropped his pack and sat down. You didn't have to trust me either. Serena looked at her baby. She needs more than running. She needs a future. Grant leaned forward. Then let's stop running. She blinked. What do you mean? I mean, I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of being afraid. You didn't ask for this. Your baby didn't ask for this. And I'm not going to let some soulless metal monster take either of you. Serena stepped closer. You'll fight the Watcher? Grant nodded. If I must. But he cannot be killed. Grant smirked. That's what they said about humans too. She laughed, softly, the first time he had ever seen her smile. Then her face grew serious. There's something I never told you. Grant leaned in. My child. She's not just Valari. He frowned. What do you mean? Serena hesitated, then spoke slowly. Her father was not from my world. He was from Earth. Grant froze. You mean a human? Yes. A doctor. He saved me during the war. We lived in secret. But he was killed by the bounty collectors when they learned I was carrying a hybrid. Grant looked at the baby sleeping soundly. Her eyes glowed faintly even in sleep. Then that's why they want her, he said. Not just because of you, but because of what she is. Serena nodded. She's proof that we can live together, that two species can make something new. Grant stood and began pacing. His mind raced. If the galaxy found out about this baby, some would protect her, but others would fear her. They'll never stop hunting you, he said. No. She agreed. Unless we make them stop, Grant finished. He turned toward the comms unit and began repairing it. We'll call someone, he said. Someone who still believes in peace. Someone who remembers what we fought for. But how long do we have? She asked. As if answering her question, a low humming filled the air. Grant rushed to the entrance and opened a narrow viewing slit. In the sky above, 3 ships circled like vultures. The Watcher had returned. Grant turned to her, his voice calm but firm. You and your daughter go through the back tunnel. It leads to the valley. Hide there. I'll distract them. No, Serena stood. I won't leave you. Grant gently touched her face. You already lost one. Protect her. I won't let you lose another. Tears filled her eyes. She wanted to fight, to scream, but she knew he was right. You'll come back? She asked. Grant smiled. I never break a promise. He kissed the baby's forehead, picked up his rifle and the old war shield, and stepped into the night. As the tunnel door closed behind him, Serena sat in silence. She looked at her child and whispered, Your father was brave, but this human, he might be even stronger. Above, the stars watched, and in the distance the Watcher's cold light scanned the ground, hunting. But this time, Grant was waiting for him. The cave was quiet, but Serena's heart was loud. She sat in the darkness of the hidden valley, holding her baby close. Her ears were sharp, her hands were ready to run again, but her eyes, they stayed on the tunnel behind her, waiting for Grant. He had walked back into danger, again, for them. Her baby stirred. A soft sound came from her little throat. Not a cry, not fear, a hum, like music. Serena froze. The sound was strange. Not Valari, not human. It was something new, something alive. She placed her hand on her baby's chest. The light under her, skin shimmered brighter than ever before. Shh, Serena whispered. It's okay, but the light pulsed stronger. Then suddenly, her baby lifted her hand toward the cave wall, and the stone moved. Serena's eyes widened. A tiny flower broke through the rock. Then another. The baby giggled softly as vines and soft leaves crawled up the stone, glowing with blue-green light. Serena gasped. This child was more than just a mix of two species. She was something new, a child of harmony, of life, of balance between two worlds. Zarina held her tighter. "You are hope," she whispered. Meanwhile, Grant crouched near the mining shelter entrance, watching the dark ships above. They were scanning the cliffs now. One wrong move and they'd spot the tunnel. His old war instincts kicked in. He threw a small heat beacon into the opposite ravine. Within seconds, two ships changed direction and followed the false signal. Grant smirked. "Still works." But the third ship didn't move. It hovered above, waiting. Then, metal slammed into the ground behind him. He spun around. The Watcher had arrived, no voice, no sound. Just the glowing core in its chest and the cold hum of its weapon. Grant raised his shield. The Watcher fired. A wave of energy hit Grant square in the chest, but the shield held. "I'm not the same man I was years ago," Grant said, "but I've got something worth fighting for now." The Watcher charged. Grant dodged and fired his blaster. Sparks flew, but the hunter didn't slow down. It knocked Grant off his feet and grabbed his throat, but Grant didn't panic. He slammed his elbow into the Watcher's arm, reached for a pulse grenade, and boom, dust flew. The Watcher staggered backward. Grant stood up, coughing. "You don't care about peace. You don't care about the child. You just follow orders." The Watcher raised its hand again. Then, everything stopped. The air changed. A warm glow appeared at the mouth of the cave. The baby. Zarina stepped forward, holding her child in her arms. The light from the baby's body grew brighter, lighting up the rocks, the trees, even the sky above. The Watcher paused. Its scans flickered. Then, its chest light dimmed. It stepped back, as if confused. The baby reached out one tiny hand. A wave of warmth swept through the valley. Flowers bloomed around them. The air shimmered. And for a second, the Watcher lowered its arm. Zarina's voice echoed. "You see now. She is not a weapon. She is a bridge." Grant looked at the Watcher. "You were sent to destroy something dangerous, but what if she's the cure instead?" The Watcher stood still, then it turned. It walked slowly back to its ship and flew away. Grant fell to his knees, breathing hard. Zarina rushed to him. "You're hurt." He looked up at her. "I've been hurt worse." She smiled, tears in her eyes. "You saved us." "No," he said. She did. They looked down at the child in her arms, still glowing, still calm. Grant reached out and gently touched her small fingers. She wrapped them around his thumb and held tight. A bond had been made, not just between man and alien, but between past and future. The war was over. But the world had not healed, not yet. News spread quickly across the colony worlds. A bounty collector turned back. A human protected an alien fugitive. And the child? Something never seen before, a hybrid of hope. But before, the galaxy could decide what it meant. Grant, Zarina, and their child disappeared. They didn't go far, just far enough to find peace. Grant had rebuilt a home deep in the green valley beyond the cliffs. A small house made of stone, solar panels, and quiet walls. Not much, but enough. Enough for a new beginning. Each morning, Grant woke before the sun rose. He gathered food, kept watch over the hills, and checked the sky for ships. Old habits died hard, but the world outside was quieter now. No more footsteps in the woods, no more drones in the sky, just birdsong, wind, and the soft laughter of a child learning how to speak. Her name was Elena, half human, half Valari, and full of light. Grant stood outside one morning, wiping his hands after chopping wood. He heard the soft hum of Elena playing nearby. She was not like other children. She could make vines grow with a touch. Flowers bloomed where she walked. Her voice could calm frightened animals. Even the wind felt warmer when she laughed, but she didn't understand why. Zarina explained it slowly, over time. You were born of 2 stars, she told her. One from the earth, one from the sky. Grant taught her the rest. How to plant, how to build, how to stand strong, and how to be kind. That night, they sat near the fire together. Elena curled between them, her little fingers glowing softly as she played with the edge of her blanket. She's growing fast, Grant said quietly. Serena nodded. Faster than human, but slower than Valari. She is both. Grant looked at the girl. Do you think the galaxy will ever accept her? Serena's eyes turned to the flames. They won't have a choice. Grant smiled. You sound confident. Serena reached for his hand. I have to be. For her. He nodded. Then we'll keep her safe together. But peace never lasts forever. One night, a ship landed just beyond the trees. No sound. No bright lights. Only a quiet landing. Grant stepped outside with his old rifle. Serena stood beside him, holding Elena close. A tall woman exited the ship, wearing clean clothes, no weapon, hands raised. She introduced herself in a soft voice. Name's Riley Voss, representative from the Alliance Reconciliation Council. I'm here because the stars are listening again. Grant didn't lower his rifle. We're not interested in politics. Riley nodded. I understand, but this isn't politics, this is history. She looked at the child. That little girl changed something, that Watcher unit. It reported mercy in its log for the first time ever. The systems froze. Headquarters panicked. Then someone asked, what, if this wasn't an error, but evolution? Serena narrowed her eyes. What do you want? Riley smiled. We want to learn. We want to protect her, not as a target, but as a future. Grant stayed quiet. Serena stepped forward. And if we say no? Then I go back. Alone, Riley said, and you stay hidden. But the next ship might not ask. It might just come to take. Grant and Serena exchanged a long look. Then Grant asked, what would you do if she was your daughter? Riley paused. I'd build her a home like this. I'd teach her to be strong. And then one day, I'd let her shine. They let Riley stay the night. She didn't ask questions. She just watched. Watched the way Elena hugged her mother tightly. Watched the way Grant made her laugh. Watched the glow in her fingers when she held a sick bird and made it breathe again. Before she left the next morning, Riley left a communicator on the table. No pressure, she said. But if you ever want to step into the world again, there are people who will stand with you. Then she flew away, leaving no trace. Days passed, then weeks. One morning, Elena came running into the garden. Mama, Papa, look! In her hands, 2 seeds glowing with soft blue light. They were under my pillow. Grant blinked. Did you put them there? Elena shook her head. No, they grew on their own. Serena touched the seeds. Valari heart seeds. They only grow with strong hope. Grant looked at her. Then let's plant them. They planted the seeds behind the house. Elena sang while she worked, and by the next morning, 2 silver trees had grown, their branches twisting around each other like hands. That night, Grant stood on the porch, staring at the stars. Serena stepped beside him. She will change everything, she said. Grant nodded. But first we give her a childhood. Serena looked up at him. And what about you, Grant? What do you want? He didn't speak for a while. Then he smiled. I want this. You. Her. Home. Serena took his hand, and for the first time since the war, Grant felt whole. The stars watched in silence. But somewhere deep in the galaxy, quiet voices whispered. A human and an alien raised the child who healed 2 worlds. And it all began with a cry at his door.